Welcome to Authenticity Unleashed. I am your host, Pam Rader. And today I'm bringing something to you that I hope will alter how you speak, how you think, and how you move forward through this day, through this week, and through your life in the future. This is big, folks, so you want to stay tuned. So, as a mom, I was blessed to get to raise 4 sons, all different personalities, all different challenges, all different credible talents. And the one thing that I noticed was in common for all of them is that each little stage of their life that they get to, when they go from 2 to 3, they leave that 2-year-old behind. When they go from, 10 to 11, the 10-year-old is gone and the 11-year-old's a completely different person. It gets kind of more pronounced as they go from, say, 13 to 16. They have to keep developing themselves, their identity, their personality, as they get more knowledge, more experience, more awareness. And that even goes on into their early adulthood. From 18 to 24, there's a marked difference in each one of my sons and how they operate in the world, how they perceive themselves, how they act with other people. What I've noticed in speaking with so many varieties of people is that really successful people, and when I say successful, I'm talking about people that are aligned with their values. They know who they are. Their relationships are in good order. They're doing work that they love. I'm not talking about they drive a McLaren or something. That's not success. It's a toy. What I'm talking about is that they're really living in alignment with themselves. And in order to do that, what I've noticed is that these people that are really aligned, they're not treating themselves as fixed entities. They're not fixed entities. They are becoming. They're constantly becoming. And the opposite of that is people who are constantly and chronically complaining about their circumstances and their job and the people around them and the state of the world. And they act like they're a tree rooted in the ground, and they're just like a particular species that can never change. It flowers the same color every year. The foliage looks the same every year. It's just the way it is. They essentially argue for their limitations when they assume an identity by claiming that identity in their own speaking. So let me be a little more specific. I believe that the purpose of our lives is to become the best version of ourselves and then share that best version with the world. And therefore, I believe that the challenges that we face are here for us to develop or sharpen or hone the skills that we need to get better at life. But when we say things like, I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert, I'm impatient, I'm outspoken, I'm a black and white person, I always avoid conflict, I never like surprises. What we're really doing is dragging a past version of ourselves into the present. We're claiming it or assuming that as our identity, and we guarantee that that's what it will look like for us in the future. So you aren't just any particular way, but each time you claim it in your speaking or your thinking, you assume that identity. Now, you've all heard when we assume, we make an ass out of you and me. Well, we make an old ass out of you and me because we're assuming our old identity and dragging it along in our lives, negating the fact that each moment is new, each breath is new, and each challenge we face gives us an opportunity to become a better version of ourselves. Now, I remember a story that was told to me about 2 fellows who they had a job to chop a certain amount of wood each day. And they would go and work for, 8 hours a day nonstop, with the exception of one gentleman would take an hour in the middle of the day and he would leave. The other gentleman would keep chopping wood. He just kept chopping, kept doing the same thing he was doing. And at the end of the day, the gentleman who left for an hour was still chopping more wood than him, and it kept improving. And at the end of this job, the fellow who stayed for 8 hours every day said to him, like, I've been working twice as hard as you, and you go home every day and, take a rest or have your lunch or whatever. Like, how are you doing that? He said, I didn't go home to take a rest or have my lunch. I went home to sharpen my axe. He used the challenge to develop a skill, to sharpen his skills, his tools. He knew that plowing through the job wasn't going to get any better for him. So sharpening your axe is what life is all about. Most of us are simply reacting to old programming, and we play it out on a loop as though that's just the way it is. So how do you get out of the loop? How do you get out of it? Well, it's simple and it's not easy. And I'm going to give you a really clear guide to how to interrupt and disrupt the old version, the old identities that you've been assuming in the present, to loosen your grip on them, let them go, and make space to create, to cause, and to bring forth the highest version of yourself, a better version of yourself in each moment. So here's some questions that you can ask yourself that can really help you unlock new variations of yourself. So ask yourself this: to play at the next level, in my relationships, with my partner, with my children, with my family, with my business associates, to play at the next level in my career, in my financial life, in my contribution to community, in my personal growth, to play at the next level in each of those areas in my life. What qualities do I need to develop in myself? Y'all know your shortcomings. You talk about it. You say, I'm impatient. Well, what if you looked at it in terms of this? Actually, patience is a skill that can be developed. You see, we get good at what we practice. Many of you have been practicing struggle. Many of you have been practicing being the way it always was, being the way you always were. If you want something new, you have to practice something new. So what skills will you need to develop? What qualities will you need to develop in yourself? How will you sharpen your axe? Maybe you need to practice patience or compassion or empathy to connect more with others. Maybe you need to practice communicating, receiving feedback. Maybe consistency and discipline are something that you need to practice. Integrity, keeping your word to yourself and others. Maybe it's, speaking up, asking questions. Maybe you need to practice courage. But be really honest with yourself. What are the skills that I need to practice if I want to unlock the next level of my life? What do I need to learn? How do I need to grow? And then next, who has these qualities already? Who's doing this really well? And how can I look to them as models so that I have a roadmap as to how to perhaps put some of these new skills into practice, or sharpen the skill, sharpen my axe? And I like to ask this question a lot. What is the highest version of myself? Like, what is the highest version of myself? The highest version that knows the truth of my divine nature, that knows that I am worthy, that knows that I am love, and so are you, that knows that I'm connected to each other in all things. What is this highest version of myself? And what tasks or challenges do I need to face to develop the character in this highest version of myself? So I have to identify before I can become somebody new or some newer, higher version of myself. I actually have to identify the qualities that I'll need and like, what does that look like in action? So I write a script, and my script goes something like this: the person I'm becoming is, and I write out all the values, all the qualities, all the skills that I have mastered in the future in this highest version of myself. And I write it as though it's a work in progress. So the person I'm becoming is infinitely patient, fiercely courageous, empathetic, compassionate, kind, a leader who's unafraid of challenges because I revel in growth. The person I'm becoming sees herself in others and others in herself. The person I'm becoming approaches life with humility and confidence. You get the idea. You can carry this on in every area. The person I'm becoming assumes the best intentions from the people I am in relationship with. The person I'm becoming speaks to people instead of about people. So you see, you start to create this higher version of yourself on paper. And then I like to look at that version of myself, that highest version, and as a creation, as myself, maybe 5 years in the future. And when I face a conflict, a challenge, something, I consult the highest version of myself, the future me, the person I'm becoming, and I ask her, what would you do? What should I do right now? And so I'll give you an example. Recently, coaches need coaches. I'm a big fan of coaches needing coaches. And I'm a big fan of alignment. So I was recently working with a coach who conducts a large coaching group with, a couple hundred people on the call. It's very expensive to be in this group. The information was very good, and I was learning a lot in certain areas. And though I noticed an escalation of what I would consider bullying by this coach, just kind of it started out a little bro dude, like sparring, and then it just got into a place where he actually humiliated some people, shut them down, was quite aggressive and abrasive. And I had a strong dislike for it. It's not aligned for me at all. I'm a yoga teacher, and the foundational principle of yoga is ahimsa. And ahimsa means non-harming. It also means kindness. And we can tell a straight up truth, and maybe it might sting a little bit, but you can do that without humiliating people. You can do that without bullying people. So it bothered me. And I started thinking about all the times that I've seen sort of yoga gurus fall, and all these people come out of the woodwork and they're like, yeah, I saw all this stuff that went on and he's so terrible. And I think to myself, well, what did they do about it? They were in the room, they didn't do anything, and that makes them complicit. Well, the highest version of myself is not complicit with people that bully. It's not complicit with people who humiliate other people. And though I don't believe in cancel culture, I believe in allowing people to become the best versions of themselves. So I thought, what should I do? Well, interestingly, the universe gave me a challenge. This person posted a testimonial that I had given them a few months before that, the day that I was thinking about this. And I thought, well, this is a sign, because I'm no longer aligned with what I said in that testimonial. This information hadn't come to light yet, and I can no longer wholeheartedly recommend this person. So I reached out and I sent a message and said, recently you posted a testimonial. I'm going to have to ask that you take it down, because I witnessed you treat someone below my standard of respect, and respect and dignity are deal breakers for me. And I consulted my highest self, because part of me wanted to just gossip about it. Part of me wanted to just talk to somebody else about what a jerk I thought this person was and see if they agreed with me. But my highest self said, no, you give people an opportunity to be better. Don't dramatize it. Just speak your truth. And so this person got back to me and said, basically, that's unfortunate and all the best. And I thought, well, okay, I did my part. And I have to make a decision now. Am I going to stay in that program because I can't sit by and watch this if nothing's done about it? But I thought, I've been given feedback. Sometimes it takes time. I've maybe planted a seed. He can agree or disagree. It doesn't really matter to me, but I can't be complicit. So I waited. A couple days later, this person comes back to me and asks me a little more about the situation. What was the call? Who was it with? And I said it was compounding for me, but here's a strong example of when I witness you humiliating someone. And I qualified it in terms of I've been a coach for a long time. I have facilitated over 20,000 hours of transformational work, and I'm a straight shooter. I can tell people a hard truth. But I don't believe that there's any time when humiliating someone on purpose, calling them names and commenting on their appearance is appropriate. And that he could take it or leave it. And, I wished him all the best. He said, thank you for the feedback. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to give him a chance to be better. And I couldn't make the next call, but I watched the playback of it. We get a recording of it. And he proceeds to do his little teaching that he does. And then he comes out and the first thing he says is, I got something to say. Some of you all are too fucking sensitive. I know these people. And if I'm talking to somebody, it's to protect you. And he went off. And I laughed out loud because the old version of me would have been super defensive about it, would have been like, I just thought, oh, wow, he did not take that feedback. He doesn't know me. And also, whoa, wow, you just showed me who you were. You just showed me who you were. And so I sat with that and I thought, what would my highest self do? And I knew I have to remove myself from the program and I can't recommend it anymore. I will never try to take this person down or out or disparage their name in any community. But I will also not recommend this person. I will also not stand by the kind of treatment that I see being doled out by this person. And so I had to ask, when I asked my higher self, I was like, oh, the old version of me would want to wave the flag of injustice and all of that. But the higher version said, hey, Pam, it's not about him. It's about you. Who are you going to be in this? You don't need to make him wrong or prove him wrong. And I don't. I wish him well. And I hope that maybe some other people feel aligned with his vision and they get something from it. That's lovely. But it ain't me. It's not me, and that's okay. If we have a clear vision of who we're going to be in the future, it becomes a lighthouse for us in these moments when we're sort of not sure what to do. So I know the person I'm becoming is trustworthy. The person I'm becoming is integral and is aligned with her values, the values of kindness. I'm aligned with the values of truthfulness. And I think I honored those values in that interaction. And I feel prouder of the person I am today because the old me would have been a coward about it, like I said, and probably talked about that person and named names and all of that. And I want you to get, I won't, if any of you ask me who this is, I'm not going to tell you because that's not what's important. The important piece of this is simply this, that when faced with new challenges, we can look at them as the old version of ourselves and repeat history. Or we can say, hey, here's an opportunity for me to be just a little bit better than I was before. Each moment is new. Each day is new. Each version of ourselves can be new. Right now, I can make myself new. Now, I want you to think about how you constitute yourself in language. You say things like, I'm this, I'm that, or I'm trying hard. And I would love for you to just maybe add this little nuance. Like, I'm in the process of learning to be more integral. I'm in the process of discovering and aligning with my values. I'm in the process of learning how to become more patient. I'm in the process of becoming more skilled at communication. And so when you say I'm in the process of, it implies that you're not fixed. You're not a fixed entity. You are always in process, always becoming, and you have a clear direction to move in. Now, the second piece of this is, so you assume your identity and you argue for it, you get limited, or you create yourself and you consult that higher version of yourself and you move through life differently. But what about how you assume someone else's identity? You treat them the way that they were in the past. You assume that they have not altered themselves in any way, done any work, had any insight, any new knowledge, and therefore are capable of a new interaction. And so you respond and react to them as though they are a fixed entity. And in that assumption, the relationship between you has no room to grow. There's no becoming in the relationship. So if you are capable of becoming someone new, wouldn't it be lovely to give others the benefit of the doubt that they're also doing their best to become a better version of themselves? I look back and I was cringeworthy a few years ago. And that makes me happy to look back and know that, whoa, I have grown so much since those days. I know that when I look at people now, the person I'm becoming says, hey, I'm going to give this person the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to see when interaction happens right in front of me, and I'm going to respond to the words and the energy that's here now, not the energy or the words of the past. And so we can get free when we really consider, I'm not stuck. I am not a permanent fixture the way that it is. I am becoming, and so is everyone else. And how can I become the best version of myself and attribute good intentions and the highest good for all of the people around me? So the next time a challenge comes your way, I invite you to ask yourself, what would the highest version of myself have me do right now? And in the moment that you take even one new small action, even the thought about it is an interruption enough that will alter the trajectory of your life in a positive way. So I hope that this has given you some really good food for thought, because each of you is a miracle. Each of you is a creator. And you can create yourself many times in your life as brand new. I hope that the next chapter that you write is the one where you're becoming the highest version of yourself. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope that you get something from the show. If you do get something from this show, if you find it valuable, I humbly ask that you share it with your friends, that you tag me on social media and share it there. It's my highest intention to be a contribution to all of the people that I have the privilege of coming into contact with. Until next time,